You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. Don't tell me. Don't tell me what my problem is.
The atmosphere on the set of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was tense, charged with an energy that only reality television could bring. The cameras were rolling, capturing what was supposed to be another dramatic scene in a season already packed with explosive moments. However, not even the most seasoned crew members could have predicted just how intense things would get when Scrappy and Khaotic found themselves in the same space. What started as a planned confrontation quickly spiraled into an unforgettable clash, leaving both the cast and audience stunned. The day began like any other. The production team was prepared for another chaotic round of filming, juggling multiple storylines. But for Scrappy, this was not an ordinary day. He had been under a lot of personal pressure, dealing with family, issues, relationship struggles, and the never-ending scrutiny that came with being on the show. The weight of it all had been pushing him to his breaking point. But today, it wasn't just the usual stress getting to him. It was chaotic. Khaotic, the bold newcomer, had been making waves since he joined the cast. He was known for his sharp tongue and his even sharper attitude. Picking fights seemed to come naturally to him, especially when it meant getting attention. Scrappy, who had been in the industry for years, was unimpressed by Khaotic's antics. But something about the way Khaotic had been targeting him lately, mocking him, pushing his buttons, was getting harder to ignore. The tension between them had been brewing for weeks. Khaotic had been taking subtle jabs at Scrappy's reputation, making fun of his past relationships, and questioning his status within the love and hip-hop circle. Scrappy had tried to brush it off, but today, he had finally had enough. The producers had planned a confrontation between the two, expecting the usual heated exchange of words. What they didn't expect was how quickly things would escalate. As soon as the cameras started rolling, Khaotic went straight for the attack, his voice laced with mockery. "You've been on this show how long? And you still don't know how to handle your business?" He sneered, his smirk full of arrogance. Scrappy's jaw tightened. His patience was wearing thin. He had been trying to stay calm, to avoid giving Khaotic the reaction he was looking for, but the relentless taunting was making it impossible. This wasn't just about his personal life anymore. Khaotic was questioning his credibility, his place on the show. And that was something Scrappy couldn't let slide. "Man, you need to watch your mouth," Scrappy muttered, his voice low but laced with warning. Khaotic, never one to back down, smirked and pushed even further. "Watch my mouth? Nah, I'm just speaking the truth. You ain't built like you used to be, Scrappy. You're just another washed-up dude trying to stay relevant." That was the final straw. Scrappy snapped. In one swift motion, his hand shot out, landing a sharp slap across Khaotic's face. The sound of the impact echoed through the set, freezing everything in place. The crew, who had been filming with bated breath, gasped collectively as Khaotic's head snapped to the side. For a moment, he looked stunned, caught off guard by the unexpected hit. But the shock quickly turned into fury. Khaotic's eyes burned with anger as he lunged toward Scrappy, pushing past the security team that rushed to intervene. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the chaos as it unfolded in real time. There was no turning back now. The slap had ignited a fire, and neither man was willing to back down. "You think you can just slap me and walk away?" Khaotic growled, his fists clenched, his body rigid with rage. Scrappy stood his ground, his chest rising and falling with the force of his anger. "You've been running your mouth too long," he shot back. "Now you see what happens when you don't know when to stop." The rest of the cast and crew stood frozen, watching as security struggled to keep the two men apart. The tension in the air was suffocating. The only sounds were the heavy breathing of the two men and the hushed murmurs of those witnessing the altercation. It was clear that this was no longer about the slap. It was about respect. Two men who had reached their breaking points, too proud to back down. The producers, realizing that things had escalated far beyond what they had planned, quickly called for a break. The crew scrambled to separate the men, pulling them in opposite directions in an attempt to calm things down. But even as the cameras continued rolling, it was clear that the damage had already been done. The slap was more than just a heated reaction. It was a symbol of everything that had been simmering beneath the surface. The rivalry, the resentment, the struggle for dominance. For Scrappy, the slap wasn't just about Khaotic's words. It was about making a statement. He wasn't going to let anyone, especially not Khaotic, come into his space and disrespect him in front of the world. The loud slap echoed through the room, freezing everyone in place. Scrappy stood firm, his expression unshaken, while Khaotic's smirk slowly faded. The energy in the room shifted instantly. What had started as a heated argument had now turned into something much bigger. Bambi, standing nearby, watched with a mixture of pride and relief. She had always known Scrappy would defend her, but seeing him stand up so fiercely left a deep impression. Their bond was unbreakable, and in that moment, his actions said more than any words ever could. The rest of the cast looked on in stunned silence. Some seemed unsure of how to react, while others secretly appeared satisfied that someone had finally put Khaotic in his place. Scrappy had made his message clear. His family came first, no matter what. As the tension settled, it was clear that the dynamic of the group had changed. No one could ignore what had just happened. The cameras continued rolling, capturing every reaction. Would Khaotic try to retaliate, or had he finally realized he had met his match? The answer to that question hung in the air, leaving everyone on edge. Khaotic, who was used to being the center of attention, was now faced with a situation he hadn't expected. He was no stranger to conflicts, but this was different. Scrappy wasn't just another cast member looking for drama. He was a man defending his pride, his family, and his respect. One thing was certain: this feud wasn't over. The show would go on, but the relationships between the cast had been altered forever. What happened next would determine the course of everything.